Welcome back to So Well Media. We're here with our full recap of the Sony presentation at CinemaCon 2026 at Las Vegas. I had the privilege of being there, doing my coverage on site, and we guys are going to go more in depth on each panel presentation as we move forward. Jay King, how you felt about Sony presentation and the stuff we got to discuss in this video?
I feel like a lot of what was shown and what was discussed at this panel were things that we were both anticipating that they were going to talk about, with just some, quick ones. They're like, oh, okay, I didn't know you were going to do that, or I didn't know we would get an update on that. So, a good variety, a good variety of information, coming out for things this year and following years.
Yeah. When I was there, obviously this was the first presentation for CinemaCon. Again, this is how you start the show, hitting all cylinders, right? And Sony presentation, I felt they delivered. But first, what was before any other announcement that was made, we had the Sony CEO Tom Rothman. He was there to advocate for improving the theatrical experience as this post-pandemic world in the film industry basically declining. He's been championing basically what we call longer, shorter, cheaper, longer theatrical windows, shorter ad reductions, as we're getting right before the start time that actually showcase on AMC's tickets, Showtime, online ticket prices and everything like that. Same thing for Cinemark, same thing for a lot of these, but AMC is actually the worst I've seen. At least a 45-minute wait for ads reduction. But that's just my experience, and especially your experience working at the movie theater. These ads have been absolutely ridiculous. But also affordability, making sure that we have ticket prices affordable for people and families to go to the theater. And he actually challenged movie theaters to allow longer theatrical windows. Even that means not showcasing some other movies, right? But for the sake of keeping certain movies longer in the theaters, so that way we can have a longer theatrical experience in the cinema. And I felt that he definitely set a precedent for the entirety of the CinemaCon presentation for that entire week. But also he challenged movie theaters to be better. But what was your thoughts in terms of the comments that he made?
I pretty much agree, because it's like when you think about, well, first off, I could say about the longer release times, that'll even go into something we talk about when it comes to another panel, later on. But it's just, sometimes these movies fly by, and sometimes some of them stay way too long. Like, I can honestly tell you, at least from my experience, it took until I think halfway through last month for Zootopia 2 to leave, while other movies such as other movies that may have came out that month will either be gone by the end of that month or the beginning of the next month. Like, they're barely there, they barely stay, like they have a presence, but if the movie is not
40, 45-day window or less, unfortunately.
Yes. 45 days, which is not a lot. Like, I completely get that we have a lot of movies rolling out, especially now that we're getting into summer. We have a lot of big releases coming out, but you need to allow, because not everyone's going to want to see it on week 1 or week 2 or even week 3. And it's mainly because they either don't got the time, don't got the funds, or they're waiting for a specific, chance, from their day-to-day life to be able to go do something like this. And if you have it there, maybe not for an extremely long time, but like a bit longer than a 45, day window, that'll give people the time to talk about it before it hits streaming and digital, Blu-ray, and all that stuff. And when it comes to like the ads, I can 100%, because I can tell you, people usually try to get there before a movie starts. But the thing is, the movie typically won't start until a good 15 minutes after the time that your ticket actually says. So having it closer to when it actually is supposed to be coming out by having shorter ads, like, I get why they're ads, but we could hurry it up with these ads. They don't need to take up the circumference of, of almost a runtime in its own, retrospect. So I just agree with most of the things that he said, and I'm glad that he's challenging these movie theaters too. Now, whether they will receive that and actually, execute that is another question. But at the very least, and again, another thing we'll talk about with a different panel, later on, definitely are challenging, hey, there are certain movies that it would be nice to have them stay in a lot longer.
And I definitely liked what they were again, it was a challenge, but it set the tone for the rest of the week. I thought Tom did an amazing job, at least showcasing not only just a Sony presentation, but setting the pace for the rest of the week, though. But now we're getting to the actual showcase of films. First, we got a new look at The Breadwinner. This is a new look at the film coming out, believe out in May. It's about a father who's
Mhm.
married to the ultimate mom, quote, quote, and it's a must watch over their daughters while she's away. And basically, again, it's a comedian. I forgot the comedian's name. I haven't really
Mhm.
seen much of his work though, but basically, it's another family film where dad is basically trying to take care of his daughters while the mom's away and stuff. We saw the two lead actors on stage, and they basically able to showcase the trailer and stuff. But this film will be coming out in May. I don't know any of your thoughts on that. If you saw any footage that has been released online.
I mean, I haven't seen footage, but like I've seen the official trailer, with the amount of trailers that would play before a movie starts. And I could definitely say, like, it definitely looks like it's a fun family film. It's like, oh, this woman is the ultimate mom. She can do no wrong. She's on Shark Tank, but her husband seems like the ultimate slack off. And so while she's gone handling business that could change their entire family's life, can he actually, handle a household of like what, three to four girls? Like, can he actually keep it under control? So I think that's definitely one of those movies where it's just like, you take your mom out to see it, or you take your whole family out and just have a fun time, get a good couple laughs in, maybe learn a life lesson along the way. It's one of those type of films, and I'd say it's definitely something that I would say, for people who want a film to just go see, that's not something crazy or like a franchise. I'd recommend that. It looks pretty fun.
Yeah, and this film, The Breadwinner, will be coming out in May. But yet they wasted no time because there was a lot of stuff covered in the panel. We got Spider-Man, and we got these laptop covers for a brand new day. Got all these stuff, goodie bags and stuff from the
Hmm.
presentation. Thank you, CinemaCon. Thank you, Cinema United, and thank you, Sony, for also providing this. But yeah, and one I thought we were going into starting off with Spider-Man Brand New Day, which one we were waiting for. They wasted no time. I thought Tom Holland and Zendaya was going to show up, but they didn't show up in person. Tom did, but actually virtually through a
Hmm.
screen, and basically showcasing also the fact that the huge success of the last film almost made about $2 billion, and was the most successful Spider-Man film to date. And now we have the most talented Daniel Cretton, who is directing this movie, Spider-Man 4 Brand New Day, who just came off the coattails of not just with Shang-Chi, but with Wonder Man. And this guy has been killing it. And now he is definitely the next, heir of directors and storytelling within the MCU. We had Ryan Coogler, we had Taika Waititi, we got the Russos coming back and all that stuff. But now we got Destin Daniel Cretton, and I have been really excited to see his direction style, his tone. And then, well, the point that we had Tom Holland here, he basically showcasing actual scene within the movie of basically after the events of Spider-Man No Way Home, that Peter had to make a sacrifice and basically wipe everyone's memories to forget who Peter Parker was. And with that, now he's basically running into Ned again in a grocery store, and basically following him as he's going to this college party from MIT. And he's seeing that that Ned does not know who he is, and he basically doesn't even know he's there when he's walking into the grocery store, as Peter is literally watching him walk past him. And again, it kind of give that sense like, man, it's like, I know I'm older, but it's like those feelings like that make even more emotional, not even because of the fact of like I relate to that, but also we have seen these characters as teenagers, compared to like
Hmm.
previous Spider-Mans, where it's like, oh yeah, we saw the first movie, you're in high school, and then now we're just college people. Like, no, it's been almost 10 years since
Yeah.
the first Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Homecoming, and now to see them in a new element, but also see them as distant people within their relationship as characters, is kind of like, yeah, add an emotional element to it. But we go into the scene. We're following Peter. Basically, is following his and he goes to this party at their apartment. And we find out that he runs into Ned, and who basically been identifying, who Spider-Man is. He basically got a cross between two people, which is either Flash Thompson, his old high school substitute teacher, science teacher, from was it Midtown High, I believe.
Yeah,
Um,
from Midtown High, yeah.
yeah, and it was again everybody was laughing in the auditorium and everything, but then all of a sudden the shift came through when we saw MJ showed up, and MJ just like, hey, what's going on here? And basically just introducing himself to MJ, say, hey, I'm neighbor, neighbor. And
Mhm.
he's basically stuttering on his words. He couldn't fully say what he wanted to say. But in the background, you also be noticing the atmosphere of this, that the song "Loser" by Tame
Mhm.
Impala have been playing in this college party. But again, it kind of set the atmosphere like, man, it sucks to be Peter Parker right now, and we love it. We love it, right? Yes, and then as he's going on trying to socialize in this party, but still not trying to be awkward around MJ and Ned. We see this conversation that MJ and Ned Ned is trying to go leave somewhere, but MJ's feel like she can't leave New York because she feels something still waiting for her here, right?
Mhm.
Which kind of signals that maybe she still remembers Peter to some extent here. But then we get introduced that yes, she has moved on and she is basically in a relationship with a new boyfriend, Ezra Miller, at least live action. We don't know the name of this guy, I
Mhm.
believe, but uh, characters in Brand New Day, comics, whatever, might think who he is. But the actor is who plays Ezra Bridger in the Ahsoka series, and they shared a kiss on screen, and that's when Peter Parker came to realization that no, MJ has moved on, and now he's feeling the weight of his choices now. And then we kind of get transition to a sizzle reel of all the similar shots we see in the trailer and everything. But that was the basis of seeing how sad and emotional that this movie is going to be and where Peter Parker is life. Now, mind you, there's only basically been about maybe two, maybe three Spider-Man films, but two of them have been considered one of the best Spider-Man films of all time, particularly Spider-Man 2, where he's been his most depressed, he lost his powers, he has no girlfriend, he's struggling with the job, all this stuff. And ironically, and he has a web lock, and ironically, that is the best Spider-Man film today, arguably, aside from Spider-Verse films and No Way Home. But what was your thoughts, Jay King, about the footage that was shared? I know I've seen it, you haven't, but at least you got a description of it. But kind of giving a sense that main thing that Tom wanted to showcase the audience was the tone of Brand New Day.
From what was described, like it basically does give what Tom was saying, that this is the most emotional and grown up of all the Tom Holland films, and which makes sense. And it's also crazy to think it's like, yes, it's almost been 10 years since the first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, but it has been 10 years since he joined the MCU in Captain America Civil War, going from a young teenage kid to a grown adult man now. And now seeing him in the state of like, he's got no one in his corner, at least as far as we know right now, he's got no one in his corner. It really just puts into perspective like how much things have changed. And yes, also kind of does give a little bit of like, oh, it's been years. And it's one of those instances where it's like you recognize somebody that you may have seen in high school, maybe you didn't have many interactions with them, but then they're like, wait, who are you? Like, oh wait, you were in our grade? Like you're that sort of feeling. I know I've definitely experienced that a few times, but it's like,
Yes.
it definitely like sets the tone for it. And also I just find it funny as well, because it's like, as said in this, Ned and MJ remember the fact that they were saved by Spider-Man multiple times. They just never remembered like who the guy under the mask was. So it's like that's at least the length we now know when it comes to Doctor Strange's spell. Is like they remember the events of Homecoming and Far From Home and No Way Home. They just don't remember intimate moments or who was under the mask. Probably the same thing when it comes to the other universe Spider-Man that showed up in the MCU as well. They do not remember the guy under the mask. They just remember there was a Spider-Man, there were 3 Spider-Man, and that's practically it. And now Ned's trying to figure out who it is. And again, it's funny the fact that he's like, narrowed it down to Flash or their high school teacher. Though I do think, hey, if they're narrowing it down to Flash, how different is Flash in a world where he didn't bully Peter Parker? Is he more of like how he is in current day in the comics, where he's a lot less of a dick and more so, a nice guy, battle hardened, soldier sort of thing? I guess we'll have to wait and see if he's even in this film. Maybe it's like a cameo or something like that. Who knows? But it does really set the precedence and make me even more excited for this film. And also with this during the CinemaCon panel, one thing that I was surprised didn't happen when the trailer came out like almost a month ago, we finally have the official 2 teaser posters for this film as well, which also set the tone. One being very much like the Spider-Man 2. Yeah, traditional. One being very much like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2 poster with MJ in it, the islands, and the other one of him fighting the hand ninjas. Because I was like, why did we never get the teaser poster? I'm like, oh, CinemaCon, and I was correct. We ended up getting it here, which they're both beautiful, especially the first one. They're both really well done, and again, this and the description of the footage just makes me even more excited for when this movie comes out in a few months.
Yeah, and also when I found this detail in another presentation, which is really strange when they announced that. But the company ScreenX, which is basically the ScreenX is covering like almost like a 360 around or 180 of screens from from your peripheral vision and also right in front of you, and basically where you can get like a full stretched out cinematic sequence from all angles. And what was happened that the company ScreenX was invited to the set of Spider-Man Brand New Day, and they're actually going to be involved in shooting the scene involved with the hand in Spider-Man Brand New Day. They showed us a sizzle reel at another presentation later that week that the company ScreenX is going to be involved in showcasing the fight scene of Spider-Man and the hand. And again, the little glimpse that we saw in the trailer, I think we have there's a lot in store in terms of the possibility of what they're going to do, and I'm really intrigued to see not how that scene is going to be played out, but how it's going to be shot. Just like the way they were promoting that. But I was like, wait, that's news. Oh, whoa, ScreenX, the widescreen and all that stuff like that. They're involved in making that. Oh, awesome, great. So yeah, but that concludes in terms of the coverage for Spider-Man Brand New Day. We'll be coming out in theaters, I believe, in June, right?
July.
July. One more month later. But anyway, as we get into the world of horror, we have Insidious. We had a new trailer, Insidious Out of the Further. The official trailer released online along with a poster. I saw this. I'm just gonna tell you right now, I don't mess with demons. And but yeah, JT, what was your thoughts on the Insidious trailer? If you saw it, didn't see it, but yeah, what was your thoughts?
I saw it, and yeah, I don't mess with demons either. And I'm just like, look, these Insidious films, if you like them, good. But I'd like to keep my soul intact. So no, thank you. No, you can stay over there. I'm good. I don't need those hands reaching out of that red door.
All that I rebuke. But yeah, aside from that, we got now. Just because I'm not messing with demons doesn't mean I don't mess with horror. Because we got Resident Evil. I was very excited for this film. The Zach Kreger, who is director of Weapons, is said to be this movie supposed to be the true spirit of the video games and stuff. And he sees it as the gold standard for survival horror. And we got first look footage of this film. I'll say from the trailer, definitely giving vibes of Resident Evil, but I love the way she was shot and edited. There's not much really I can share other than just I can tell that there's some scenes that haven't showed us revealed visual effects wise because they're probably still rendering a few things. But I thought with the tone of this Resident Evil movie that's giving from the trailer and the footage we saw, I am very excited. If you're a video game lover and you're a video game lover of Resident Evil, I think you're going to be excited when this movie comes out. But again, it's going to be directed by Zach Kreger, who's the director of Weapons, and I was really a fan of this trailer though. But I will say this, there's another film in another presentation that looked more Resident Evil than this. I'll stay tuned for that. I was stay tuned for that in the next video. Hit notification bell. Next project is actually something I was really blown away by the trailer. This is a book that's turned to a movie called Klara and The Sun. This is a Taika Waititi film starring Jenna Ortega and Amy Adams, and it follows a robot played by Jenna Ortega who's bought by a family to help them heal physically and mentally in a dystopian future. Now, this is based off of a book called Klara and The Sun, and Jenna Ortega is playing the robot. I thought the tone of this is giving very type of like, I don't want to say Black Mirror vibes to this. Like this whole movie can feel like an episode of Black Mirror. But I'm really intrigued on this. Of the footage they showed here. Jenna, I've been really a big fan of her, but I think this is gonna be another role to really expand in terms of her capability as an actress. Not saying that I don't think she has the range, but I think this is just another role that I think she can grow through. I don't believe this footage was released online, but have Taika Waititi come back again, kind of going to the Jojo Rabbit era of of directing and storytelling, which I think this is what fans have been waiting for, just to see out of him after Thor: Love and Thunder and everything like that. So I'm really intrigued on this. But what was your thoughts on just terms of the announcement of Klara and The Sun with Jenna Ortega and Amy Adams?
I mean, I'd never heard of the book before until the announcement was made, but it's just like, just from the description, it definitely seems like it's something up Taika's alley that I'm just like, okay, I feel like in this case, you keep him in the realm of things that he definitely knows how to do. And I'm just hoping, especially with the description of like, a robot to help a family through a dystopian future, that the heart and the emotions and the connections will be there. Again, I don't know much of the story. Maybe I'll figure out before this film comes out. Not entirely sure, but I am definitely excited to see Amy Adams and Jenna Ortega and something, especially for Jenna Ortega to have a film like her last one that we don't talk about that one.
Right. Yeah, we don't talk about that one. But as we go into the next project, this was very, very, you guys have to see the footage. I'm not gonna lie. This was off the chain. Clips of this Grandgear. This is a film by the Godzilla -1 director Takashi Yamazaki, and this film will be releasing in February 18th 2028. We saw a few glimpses of it. All I can give, Pacific Rim but anime, almost Gundam style, a little bit, a little bit Gundam, a little bit, but the visual effects of it is almost giving like video game level good, if that makes sense. In anime manga fashion, but big giant robots fighting aliens or whatever. Quick glimpses, looks great. Not much to it, but I'm really excited for it. And this is gonna be directed by the director of Godzilla -1. I'm super excited for this. However, as we get into the next project, another thing video game related, we get Legend of Zelda. Now, we didn't get no footage, unfortunately, but we've been told that filming has wrapped. And we'll be getting this movie in May 7th of 2027. And I believe we'll get more footage of this prior to next year's CinemaCon. But yeah, there's not much to it, really. We already got set photos of this, of the film, of Link and Zelda and Princess Zelda. But that was pretty much it. Nothing more to it. But I'm waiting to see more footage. But at least we got confirmation that filming has wrapped. Announcement. We got, again, another video game lovers. We got Bloodborne. Bloodborne been announced, and it's going to be adapting this game into an animated rated R film. Now, I never played Bloodborne. I'm actually unfamiliar with it, but I don't know, JK, if you're familiar with Bloodborne, know the essence of the game and everything. But what is your thoughts on terms of this game, or this property now being turned to a movie, animated?
I know of the game. I've never played, nor have I really looked at any like footage, so I'm not really that in tuned into like what it has to offer. But I mean, I've heard a few things here and there, so it's going to be very interesting to see. The crazy thing about it is who it's being directed by, because it's being directed by YouTuber Jacksepticeye, which, well, no, it's being developed by YouTuber Jacksepticeye, which would make this the second YouTuber created film after Markiplier did Iron Lung a few months ago. So it's going to be very interesting just to see like, how does he do it versus how Markiplier did that movie?
Correct.
It's a new age. It's a new age we're coming, where it's like, content creators and video game experts start to actually put their all into making a film like this happen. And I want to see more of this type of stuff, because I'm interested to see what their vision is, especially when they're that in tuned into the story of of these games. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm very, and to your point, I'm very interested to see how these developers actually go into aspects of storytelling with these creators. And again, I don't think we should just be limited on just traditional filmmaking and stuff. Again, anyone that can tell a good story, especially within this industry, should definitely deserve to have the platform and the opportunity to showcase their passion and love for a property. And but yeah, Bloodborne is going to be an animated rated R film. I think no update in terms of when the release date. I believe 2027. I believe, but
I think
yeah,
so.
Or probably later, but yeah, but that's a future that's in development. Another thing that's been announced: Helldivers, another video game property turned to movie. It's going to be directed by Justin Lin. We got a release date, which is going to be November 10th of 2027. This is going to be adaptation. It will be explosive, large-scale adaptation of the game, with the lead star being Jason Momoa. Again, this is another property where I didn't really play the game Helldivers. Not really, and I'm aware of it, but but yeah, what's your thoughts in terms of director Justin Lin be directing a video game film with Jason Momoa?
Again, I'm not familiar with Helldivers. I mean, I know of it, but I'm not familiar with it either. But Justin Lin and Jason Momoa. I mean, Jason, honestly, looking at him, like, yeah, I know that makes sense. Justin Lin, I'm like, okay, we'll see how he does with it. We'll see how his directing style goes with a game like this. Again, I don't know much, but I'm interested to see, more video game adaptation, films. I definitely would like to see. Hell, it could even get into wanting to, play these games and explore the world even more. I mean, Iron Lung did that. I mean, I'm about to start that journey soon and figure out more about that. But yeah, just bring more of it. However many we can get that are actually good, just bring more of it.
But yeah, but Helldivers will be coming out in November 10th of 2027. Now we get into the social reckoning. Now, I was waiting for this to be presented at CinemaCon, and when we were there on like in the auditorium, like when they presented it, it's like, okay, what's the feel of this? It's like this supposed to be a sequel of The Social Network, definitely critically acclaimed film with Jesse Eisenberg, but now we got new actor Jeremy Strong who'll be playing Mark Zuckerberg in his now adult life, and this story is basically seen as a David and Goliath story. It follows a mid-level engineer at Facebook who becomes a whistleblower to take on the massive company, and Mikey Madison's also in this film as well. But I will say this, and we'll see the first trailer of The Social Reckoning. I will say this. This is what I feared. I'm not gonna lie. Jeremy Strong felt like a SNL parody of Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not right. Just straight up. And I know Jeremy Strong is a great actor. Love him on television and film, but this definitely felt like a robotic performance of Mark Zuckerberg, and I really just got turned off every time he's on screen. I was just like, this is hilarious. Like, I'm not even lying. I could not have taken this film seriously based on it. And I was talking to my neighbor right next to me, just like, are they serious? Like, this is exactly what I feared. This is exactly what I feared. And most people give Jesse Eisenberg flack or whatever of being like a very emotionless actor, like in the early stages of his career, aside from like Zombieland and other things like that. But I'm like, no. Jesse Eisenberg had a lot more emotion and range in his performance, but this just felt very robotic. But some people argue that's what Zuckerberg was actually was in his mid-level of his career and everything. But yeah, what was your thoughts? I know the footage has not been released online, but just knowing about the project, what was your thoughts in terms of The Social Reckoning, and who's going to be in the film? Like, such as Mikey Madison.
Again, The Social Network was very much an iconic film. Like, you still see scenes of it being played to this day, of Andrew Garfield just crashing out on Jesse Eisenberg. So it's like, when this was announced, I was like, okay, I could see it, but okay. But now that you're saying that, it's like, oh no, because like I'm still interested to see how this story goes, this very David and Goliath like story, but I'm like, oh no, like, is it like, I get it. I get people can joke on Zuckerberg sometimes, but it's like, from what you're describing and what I'm hearing, I'm like, oh no, like, I still want to see it, but I'm like, oh no.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, only time will tell. I'll see the film and see if the performance actually went me over. But just off the trailer, it turned me off completely. But going on something positive, we got also Spider-Man related. We got Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. So I was there last year at CinemaCon when they showed us just the first footage of Beyond the Spider-Verse, and seeing just a few sequences after where we left off in Across the Spider-Verse. But here we got the first few minutes, about 7 minutes or so of the movie of Beyond the Spider-Verse, and it picks off where we left off with Miles captured by Uncle Aaron, and also Miles G. Morales, who is the Prowler in this universe, right? And basically kind of explaining to him what the situation going on, that he had to go save his dad and all that. But now you're seeing cool banter, from Miles G. Morales and Miles Morales, compared to what you saw in an intimidating, scene at the end. But what was also cool was that we're actually seeing the perspective of Miles G. Morales as he's going in and meeting our version of Miles. So we see him in his perspective when he's punching, knocking out Miles and you know, in the face and everything. Basically playing as they're wrapping him up on the punching bag. See him spectating as, you know, when Miles wake up, and we're seeing the perspective of Miles G. Morales as the Prowler watching him. So we're seeing from his point of view, and I thought that was kind of cool. Seeing the same scene, but just from a different perspective. That was cool. But this was shown to be the most emotional Spider-Verse film made. But in the trailer, we also get into a scissor reel, a bunch of other shots. We see returning characters like Spider-Punk. We see the Spot. We see Miguel O'Hara. We see that again. There'll be a bunch of Spider-Man that are gonna be going into Miles' universe with portals opening. We see Peter B. Parker and Spider-Gwen as well, along with Mayday Parker. Return of Spider-Man Noir. Return of Spider-Ham and everything. But we also got some other things here. Well, we see the return of Kingpin. There was a shot of Kingpin. You saw his big ass in that shot. That's Kingpin. Now we don't know whether this probably is a variant or the same Kingpin or whatever, or from our universe or from a different universe, whatever. But Kingpin is coming back in Beyond the Spider-Verse. But in the footage we saw that we see that Miles is somewhat becoming an ally to the Prowler, Miles Morales and stuff, and seeing them working together. But it was really intriguing to see how they're going to play this out. This is going to be the final chapter within Miles' story as they repeat it for the 15th time, and that we're going places that we literally could have gone before. Now, does that mean live action? Yes, because, you know, they did it last film. Again, and this film comes right between Doomsday and Secret Wars. Coincidence? I think not. But anyway, and it's been confirmed that that this film will be made in 1:43:1 format with IMAX in mind. So and they release a couple of pictures as well to the public to see. But yeah, Jakey, what was your thoughts in terms of the images? You weren't able to see the footage, but what was your thoughts in terms of the pictures that we saw and also the information we got from the presentation?
All the images that they released were incredible. Like, you know, you got Miles with his father. You got what I'm guessing is the Prowler universe version of Aaron and Jefferson. You got this, what seems like an impact frame of Miguel O'Hara getting his hands on Miles. And you also got what we got, you know, described a long time ago, is that we're also going to visit Spider-Punk's universe. And, you know, it's like, you know, we're going to save you, dad, and all that stuff. And from the information of what was said, it's funny to see like the playoff of the two Mileses, especially, you know, I know you've heard like, you know, how you pronounce it, Morales? You know, it's like Morales. No, it's Morales. You know, why are you bleeding from your armpits? You know, why are you so, like, you know, all that type of stuff. Also, I do think when it comes to Kingpin, I started having this idea because it's like, wait, yeah, we saw that the Sinister Six cartel is a thing in Prowler's universe, so most likely that's Kingpin from Prowler's universe is like the head of the Sinister Six cartel that run New York. You know, since there's no Spider-Man in that universe, because, you know, the Spider went to Earth, you know, the Ultimate Universe in the films. But just from what's described, I'm just like, I can't wait. Like, I know people have been like, why is it taking so long? But it's like, look, they wanted this film to be perfect, and it deserves to be perfect. It deserves to be everything that it needs to be, you know. And the places that they go, who knows? Maybe that's other animation styles that we have not seen within this film. Maybe that's a quick glimpse into, you know, a live action version of them, you know, whether it be the same voice actors playing them or someone else, I have no clue. Whether that be anything, like, this could literally go anywhere, not just in terms of the style, but in terms of the story. Because it's like, also we got Spot, you know, continuing to hunt down Miles' loved ones, and, you know, to complete the cycle of the canon events and all that. So it's just going to be very interesting to see who pops up, who, you know, makes their debuts or their return in this. Because I said, like, Spider-Ham's coming back, Spider-Man Noir will be coming back, and it'll be definitely interesting to see how things are after his show that's coming out on Amazon this year. Right. So there's just a lot to look forward to when it comes to Beyond the Spider-Verse. I could not be more excited. I just am waiting the day that the trailer will drop, but since that film doesn't come out till next year, I don't suspect that until like maybe later this year, like towards the end of 2027.
Yeah, honestly, I probably won't be surprised if you have it before Doomsday. Probably. Yeah, I just kind of just keeping the flow of things going, you know what I mean? Or probably in November, to be honest with you, possibly. But only time will tell to see. But yeah, there's still got a lot of work to do with the animation as we see. But I'm very excited to see this, see the completion of Miles' story, and hopefully down the MacGuffin to see him come live action some form or fashion. But as we conclude with this panel, we thought that we're going to end off that with a bang, but unfortunately, end something I consider to be lukewarm.
Okay.
So they at the end of the presentation, we got these goodie bags and stuff, and not the second film, not the third. We're in a world now where we got the fourth. What is it? Fourth Jumanji movie or third?
Yeah, this is the fourth. This is the third, and this is the third in terms of when they brought it back. But this is canonically the fourth Jumanji film.
So canonically, this is the fourth Jumanji movie, but the third within The Rock and Kevin Hart and everything. Yeah. But this is officially titled Jumanji Open World, with Danny DeVito returning. We'll see the world of Jumanji come to the real world as video game characters meet their real life players. Now, as we said, Jumanji, this is now the first film where we're actually going back and to the original plot of Jumanji with Robin Williams. And The Rock, Kevin Hart, and Jack Black showed up on stage and basically like saying that this film can be a tribute to Robin Williams, and there's some Easter eggs in the movie that will be a tribute to him. But yeah, this is the first movie will be interesting where it's like, hey, we're actually doing the plot of the original Jumanji, which would be interesting. But when we saw the trailer, I don't believe it released online. And then, so yeah, we got the first looks of it and basically confirmed that the video game characters are coming to the real world. But what are your thoughts on the fact that we're now at Jumanji, a fourth Jumanji movie? But the plot that we have the video game characters coming to the real world.
Okay, look, I'm someone that has had fun with these like Jumanji films. I understand, but it's like I'm someone that has had fun with it. But I think it's just more so it's like, man, like all this, it took this long. Like what, the last film came out in 2019 and now we're just gonna, yeah, like I'm like, you thought that it would have been filmed not that long ago, especially since there wasn't that big of a gap between Jumanji, like the second and third one. But I mean, who knows, there's probably some production thing going on. But the fact that now this is, you know, happening, I'm very much looking forward to having a lot of fun with this. It's going to be interesting to see, because like we've seen the video game characters of The Rock and Kevin Hart, you know, Bravestone and all of them being, you know, under the influence and possession of these real people coming into, you know, into the world of Jumanji. But it's like now you get to see them authentically along with those people that have been, you know, in the driver's seat the entire time. So seeing that and basically bringing Jumanji back to, you know, its original movie roots of like, you know, oh, you know, things from Jumanji are coming to the real world, except it's more of a video game thing than being a board game, you know, like last time. So that is going to be very interesting. And I expect a lot of humor. I expect a lot of jokes, you know. We'll see how the original versions of Bravestone, Ruby Roundhouse, and all of them function in the real world and their real personalities without the, you know, voices or, you know, being talked through, you know, the real life people. So that's going to be the interesting part to see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what they have in store for this. And again, the fact that they're also saying they pay a tribute to Robin Williams, I'm intrigued to see with this. But listen, it was an entertaining franchise. The fact that you get to the third, you know, installment of this era of Jumanji, but in total we have 4 Jumanji movies. You know, wouldn't believe it. But especially with The Rock and Kevin Hart and Jack Black and Karen Gillan, it's like never would have thought of it when the film first came out. But they were successful. And they kept it pushing everything, and here we are. But I'm really intrigued to see what they have in store for Jumanji Open World. But a little bit disappointed that they ended off with this. But they ended off with The Rock and Jack Black and Kevin Hart being on stage. So I guess that was your bang that you went out with. But in total, I thought the entire presentation was really good. Again, from start with Tom Rothman, basically the CEO or Sony, basically you know, challenging movie theaters to extend their theatrical windows, cutting out ad time, and actually making their ticket prices cheaper. Again, I thought it was very bold, but definitely was needed. And after my conversations I had with Cinema United and people, especially with the president, a CEO of Michael Leary, definitely gave some good insight about that's what their main goals here. And over the week, you'll be seeing there'll be other studios been going on to and actually promising of keeping a 45-day window or longer in the cinema, basically having a longer theatrical window. And the only time will tell if they're going to be a man of their word. No pun intended with that, but and actually just basically be hypocritical and just kind of just to increase the bottom line and pull their movies from streaming, that they have unfortunately been consistently doing the last couple of years. But only time will tell. But make sure you hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Let us know your thoughts on the announcements that were made at the Sony presentation. I will be back in another video along with Jay King. We'll be going over the next presentation, which will be Neon. We also have Universal. We have Warner Brothers, and of course, Disney. Yes, I saw a Doomsday trailer, and you didn't, but it's okay. I'm here to educate you and inform you. But yes, make sure you stay tuned for that, and also make sure you stay tuned to hit the notification bell, all the updates, and also short videos or recaps while I was at CinemaCon at Caesar Palace at Las Vegas. And again, it was a fun time. Met a lot of cool people and stuff. Also, can't forget Paramount. Can't forget Paramount too. But yes, but stay tuned for that, and we'll keep you guys posted in the next video. All right, see you guys. Peace.